Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. So the last update about Unfortunate Love was how Rishi brings Lakshmi back to the Oberoi house from the hospital, and Malishka and Rishi's marriage date is being fixed by the priest, and this got Malishka happy. So let's continue from there. Lakshmi and her inner self are talking. Lakshmi says that she cannot let injustice happen with Malishka. Her inner self says, I am happy that you have heard me and you listen to your heart. She asks her to be happy and keep smiling, and she should not lose. Lakshmi says, I will be happy, and her inner self asks her to smile. Downstairs, the priest thinks that he should not come into Ayushi's talk, and he thinks to take out the auspicious time for Rishi and Malishka's marriage. Malishka asks Neelam to call the Guruji and says this priest is taking too much time. Rishi comes there and thinks to convey his feelings to everyone and let them know that he loves Lakshmi and not Malishka. Malishka says, Rishi, it is good that you came, but the priest is taking so much time to take out the auspicious time for our marriage, and he is spoiling my mood. Lakshmi thinks if Rishi went to tell everyone that he loves her, and she thinks to go and stop him. Rishi says to everyone that I want to tell you all something, and I want everyone to understand me. Karishma says to Rishi that the priest is taking out the auspicious time for Malishka and your wedding date. Rishi asks the priest to stop and says he wants to say something important. Lakshmi collides with the side table and still she runs to stop Rishi. Rishi says, I want to tell everyone that I love Lakshmi, and everyone gets up shockingly. Malishka asks Rishi to say it again. Rishi says, you heard me. I said I love Lakshmi. Malishka asks Rishi to shut up and says, you love me, Malishka, and not Lakshmi, and you will love me for all bad. Karishma asks Rishi that have you gone mad? Kiran asks if Rishi is in his senses. Neelam slaps Rishi and asks if joke is happening here and says, is this a time to joke? Neelam says to Rishi that the priest is taking out the auspicious time for your marriage with Malishka and says you'll move ahead with Malishka. She says this is Lakshmi's conspiracy and says if you say it again, then I'll throw you out from here. Grandma says to Rishi that you should have thought about this long before, and it turns out to be Rishi's imagination. Lakshmi comes there. Rishi says, I want to tell everyone something. Malishka asks Rishi to talk fast. Lakshmi comes there and holds Rishi's hand and takes him away from there, and everyone is shocked. Malishka says, how dare Lakshmi? Kiran asks Malishka not to spoil her mood and says this drama will not work. Karishma says there is nothing in Lakshmi's heart, else she wouldn't have taken Rishi away from here. Malishka says everyone saw what Lakshmi did in the party by trapping Rishi, and Neelam asks Malishka not to talk nonsense. Lakshmi takes Rishi to his room and locks the door. Lakshmi asks, what were you going to tell everyone? That you love me? Rishi says yes. Lakshmi asks Rishi to tell himself whom he loves and says you don't love me and it is just your infatuation. Rishi says to Lakshmi that I love you. Lakshmi says you love Malishka, and she asks him not to confuse himself and also not to confuse her. She says you love Malishka only and says you might be angry with Malishka that she did not save you, but Malishka tried. Rishi says you saved me. Lakshmi says it was my destiny to save you and you are really good and nothing bad should happen to you. Lakshmi says to Rishi that you are like a child, and just like a child goes to his father when his mother scolds him, but later in the night, the child goes back to his mother. Likewise, you will go back to Malishka. Rishi says, I am not confused now, and I know that I love only you. He says, how can I love both you and Malishka? And says, I just love you, and it was my misunderstanding before that I love Malishka. Lakshmi says to Rishi that you love just Malishka, and you are marrying Malishka. Rishi asks that why are you forcing me to marry Malishka? Lakshmi says we have moved on and says I am also going to marry someone else. Rishi says I will change everything. Lakshmi asks if Malishka's dream will stop and says did you think of what will happen with Malishka and what she will feel? Lakshmi says to Rishi that I will not let injustice happen with another woman and I cannot forgive myself, and says if you don't marry Malishka then everyone will be odd and you cannot forgive yourself too. She says people run away and marry, but sometimes the family don't accept, but what is important is love, and says you love Malishka. Lakshmi says to Rishi that today, what you told me that you love me, you will never tell anyone, and she asks Rishi to swear. Rishi says I will not give any swear. Lakshmi says I will not talk to you, and you will lose even our friendship if you don't promise me, and Rishi is forced to promise Lakshmi that he will not tell anyone that he loves her. The matchmaker knocks on the door and tells Lakshmi that she saw an alliance for her and the guy's mother wants to talk to her, and Lakshmi goes with the matchmaker. The matchmaker says to Rishi that the priest saw the auspicious time, and Rishi comes downstairs and he asks when is the auspicious time. Malishka asks that why did Lakshmi took you upstairs, and Rishi says it is to set our lives. Malishka asks Rishi that why did you stop the priest. Rishi says he has planned a destination wedding and that is why he wanted to delay the auspicious time. But now, he says I am ready for you at any time because Lakshmi taught me to think about our family first than our own happiness. Malishka says, so you are agreeing to marry me because of Lakshmi's sayings. Rishi says you have also said it that I should marry you, so it is because of your sayings too. Malishka says really, and she hugs Rishi happily. The priest tells everyone that the first day of next month is the auspicious day, and Neelam, Karishma and Malishka get happy. Karishma says we have less time to prepare. Neelam thanks the priest and tells Rishi that her happiness would increase seeing Malishka and his grab Paresh. Rishi says I will fulfill your wishes, and he goes away from there unhappy. Lakshmi talks to the groom's mother on phone who likes her on the call. The groom's mother tells Lakshmi that her pilgrimage is successful since she found Lakshmi, and the matchmaker says that she will give the good news to everyone. Rishi comes to his room and thinks that I wish I can change my past and my reality, and he gets sad. Rishi says to himself that dad is right, I don't deserve Lakshmi, she should get a good person. He thinks that I wish I could have felt my love for Lakshmi before. Lakshmi thinks that I wish I could have realized this before, that Rishi loves me and I love him too, but it is too late now, and she thinks that this might be Lakshmi's fate and she cries. Neelam and Kiran gives money to the priest. Malishka thanks Kiran and tells her that we should get a destination wedding done like Rishi wants. Karishma says Malishka wants everything that Rishi wants too. Kiran says Malishka regards Rishi as her husband since a long time, and Neelam says all our problems would end with the victory of good over evil. Neelam asks Kiran if all her complaints would end now, and Kiran says sorry that she was complaining before. Neelam says Malishka is my daughter too, and I think so much about her. Karishma asks Neelam and Kiran to congratulate each other, and Neelam and Kiran hug and congratulate each other. Neelam says that everything happened as I wished, and says we will celebrate Holi, and we will start the marriage preparation too. Neelam asks Malishka to go for the Holi Kandahan festival in the night, and Malishka says that she will go. The priest comes out. Ayush asks, what did you do? The priest says they were about to talk to Guruji, and says that my respect and my pride would have gone if they find out that I lied. He asks Ayush not to worry, and says I did not tell anyone about you. He then blesses Ayush and he goes away from there. Ayush says the family should know who actually love each other, and it is Rishi and Lakshmi. Malishka asks Karishma about Lakshmi's marriage. Karishma says it would happen. The matchmaker comes there and tells everyone that Lakshmi's alliance will be fixed just as the groom's mother returns from her pilgrimage, and says that the groom's mother likes Lakshmi a lot. Malishka asks the matchmaker if the guy will like Lakshmi. The matchmaker says that guy will be lucky to get Lakshmi, and I am sure that he will like her. Malishka asks if Lakshmi will like the guy, and the matchmaker asks Malishka not to be negative and says there is some values of tongue. Grandma says to the matchmaker that the matter is about Lakshmi's life, and she asks that how is the guy. The matchmaker says that the guy is like Lakshmi and he is very good. Malishka says wherever Lakshmi goes, she gets a good guy to marry. The matchmaker says the guy also values importance of marriage and says I'm sure that Lakshmi will marry this guy. Kiran says it is good that Lakshmi will marry, and Karishma says we are worrying for Lakshmi, whom we don't like. Ayush says you people don't care for Lakshmi, you are just stubborn about her marriage. Grandma says if Malishka gets Rishi, then I will not let Lakshmi go with any random guy, and I have to be sure that the guy is good before Lakshmi can marry him. Malishka says to Grandma that Lakshmi will get what is in her destiny, like I have gotten Rishi that is in my destiny. Grandma says Lakshmi gave Rishi to you, and Rishi wasn't in your destiny before. Malishka asks, what do you want to say? Grandma says you are wise, you know well what I mean. She says if you are marrying Rishi, then the reason is Lakshmi, and Malishka gets angry. Ayush comes to Lakshmi and asks that what is happening sister-in-law. Lakshmi asks him not to call her sister-in-law. Ayush says I used to call you sister-in-law when you had come here, and says that journey from Lakshmi to sister-in-law is my journey to love you. You are my sister-in-law, and you cannot snatch my right from me, and I will continue to call you sister-in-law, and you cannot stop me. Lakshmi says to Ayush that I am going to get married soon. Ayush asks that what is the hurry to marry someone else. Lakshmi says if I had any brother, then even he would have scolded me with so much right. Ayush asks why don't you agree to me if you think that I am your brother. Lakshmi says Rishi and Malishka love each other and they should get married. Ayush says to Lakshmi that Rishi and Malishka doesn't love each other and nothing had happened between them that night. So Rishi and Lakshmi's divorce shouldn't have even happened. He says, don't you trust Rishi? Lakshmi says, I have seen it with my eyes and Rishi accepted it that he slept with Malishka. So what other proof is needed? Ayush says to Lakshmi that he can never believe it that something happened between Rishi and Malishka. Lakshmi says enough and says let whatever wants to happen happen. She says please, not now, and Ayush goes away from there angrily. Later, Ayush comes to Rishi and tells him that they should have a drink and Rishi is surprised. Rishi asks Ayush that why should they have a drink suddenly. Ayush says your marriage is fixed with Malishka and he asks if Rishi is not happy. He says you wanted to marry Malishka, but Lakshmi's sister-in-law came in between you both, but now you will marry Malishka. He says why are you sad? And he asks him to drink for his sadness. Rishi says to Ayush that I am happy because I wanted to marry Malishka before. Ayush says whom are you deceiving? Are you deceiving yourself or me? He says first tell me if you are happy. Rishi asks if there are types of happiness. Ayush says one is genuine happiness, but the other happiness is fake, and he thinks that Rishi have the fake happiness. Ayush shows Rishi the video in which he is doing puja with Lakshmi. Rishi smiles a bit seeing the video. Ayush says you are truly marrying your love, Malishka. He asks Rishi to answer him whom he loves, Malishka or Lakshmi. Rishi remembered confessing his love to Lakshmi, and he gets sad that Lakshmi rejected his love. Ayush says to Rishi that you are still confused and he asks him to close his eyes and ask his heart whom he loves and then tell him whom he sees. Rishi closes his eyes and sees Lakshmi and he tells Ayush that he saw Lakshmi and Ayush gets happy. Virendra comes to Grandma. Grandma tells him that Rishi wanted to tell them something and he stopped the priest, but before he could talk, Lakshmi came there and took him away. Grandma says to Virendra that Lakshmi held Rishi's hand and take him away from there and says that there is a big matter which Rishi and Lakshmi wants to hide. Virendra says we have to find out what the secret is and Grandma says one wants to talk and the other wants to hide the truth. Malishka tells Karishma that Lakshmi gets importance here and she, Malishka, doesn't get any importance. Karishma says just few days are remaining here for Lakshmi. Malishka says she is getting tortured in these few days and says how dare Lakshmi to take Rishi away from here when Rishi was about to talk. Kiran asks Malishka to focus on her happiness and let Lakshmi go to hell. She says you should not let Lakshmi succeed. She says today you are going to Holika Dance Festival with Rishi and she asks her to burn all her worries during the festival and Malishka wishes to do Lakshmi's burning and move her away from her life. Lakshmi comes to Rishi's room and Rishi says to Ayush that I took Lakshmi's name because I saw her. Ayush asks whom did you see then if it is not Lakshmi and says you both love each other. Rishi says I love only Malishka and Ayush looks on. Rishi asks Lakshmi if she has some work. Lakshmi says she forgot why she came and she goes out. Rishi says to Ayush that you don't need to say it again and again that I love Lakshmi. And Ayush thinks that he knows why Rishi wants to marry Malishka and he thinks to do something. The good part is that Ayush is smart in a kind of way. He knows that there's nothing between Rishi and Malishka, that thing did not happen between them that night. He is very sure, like very, very sure. He trusts Rishi to that extent. And I like that about him. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Please don't forget to give this video a like and check the comment section for the link to the next episode. I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.